All right, here, guys, as you all know, one of the things that I like to do is I like to take a look at each lead generation source and squeeze it for everything it's got. And there's way too much generalizations going on in our industry. And when we talk about past client sphere or people make reference to database, we're way too general and vague, okay? And I've broken down for most of you, as you know, the different components and have asked you to set a goal for each one of those components. So today I want to touch one of the components of what people commonly refer to as a referral business, okay? And so one of the components of a referral business is the service providers, the vendors that you recommend. Now, what do I mean? We, as a good real estate agent, we support many businesses and we help many families have successful financial lives because of the hard work and effort that we do to go find buyers, find sellers. And when we put them into contract, we give a whole slew of people jobs to do. Handyman, contractors, landscape artists, designers, architects, you know, stagers, flooring people, painters, roofers, inspectors. Beth, no flipping me off, by the way.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't mean to do that.
So what I've learned is we have this whole, it's almost like we have a Rolodex of all of these people that we recommend and help grow their businesses. And then when I ask us and our community, I say, how many sales is that community generating you back every year? Usually the answer falls on crickets, okay? So we have to, let's set a goal. So I want to have a goal. I have my vendors, my service providers. I want to create 6 sales from referrals directly from that group. Make sense? Now, how do we do this? Okay, because that's separate than my past clients and my sphere of influence, right? That's separate from my agent referrals. That's straight vendor service providers. And today we have this amazing opportunity to do Zoom video interviews with them about their business and what they do and how they do that. And so we should also have a marketing strategy where we're teaching, educating our community about these great service providers in our lives that we constantly recommend. Okay. And also, as Adrian, you've been doing with our loan officer, you know, we need to do this with all of the other service providers. Now, the script that one of my great coaches from Tom Ferry gave to me, he said, Patrick, here's how the strategy plays out. He's all, first, call your past clients, call your sphere, and ask this question. He said, ask them, hey, Adrian, listen, because I work with so many buyers moving into DC and so many sellers moving out, I try and maintain the best list of local service providers, contractors, attorneys, accountants, you know, restaurants, bars, you name it, dry cleaners. And so, Adrian, can I ask, have you had exceptional service from anyone in the last 12 months? Pretty good question to ask everybody anyways, yes? So now Adrian goes, oh my gosh, we just worked with this interior designer who just redesigned our master bathroom and it looks amazing. And you're like, please introduce me to them. Now, Adrian introduces me to this interior designer. Then what I do is I interview them, find out a little bit about them, add them to my new list. Now, Adrian now says, hey, Patrick's the keeper of this really good list. So then what happens is Adrian now calls me and says, Patrick, I need an X. So the next step is I don't give Adrian the contractor's phone number and information. What I do is I call the contractor and say, hey, Beth, I've got this really great client that is interested in your service. I'd like to introduce you to them. Would you give them a call? And Beth's like, thanks, Patrick, right? And then now I keep track of how many opportunities I've given Beth. Okay. So then now I go back to Beth and I say, hey, Beth, I love everything you've been doing with all of the great clients. You worked with Adrian, you worked with Jay, you've worked with Belinda, you've worked with Afshin, and everybody loves and adores you. Now, here's the script. I know you know a lot of real estate agents, Beth. I know you know a lot of real estate agents. So therefore, all I ask for is just one referral. All I ask for is just one referral this year. Pretty even exchange. What do you guys think? When you really start to calculate how much money you've made a lot of these vendors, right? And you start to think, wow, like, you know, that guy, you know, on average, his average job is $1,000 and I've given them 10 jobs in the last 12 months. You've made them $10,000. It's pretty significant, right? In some of these service providers, it's much more than that. And so in the real world of big business, that never would go on, you know, there has to be a very clear, you know, relationship there. But I've noticed with real estate professionals, we do that with our broker. Our broker, we're like, I gave you this much money, give me more money back, right? You know, we're like insane with our broker. We barely do it with our loan officer who makes the most money. We don't really do it with attorneys and title and these guys who also make huge profits. But there's all these other people that we're supporting their livelihoods, right, on the small business level. Okay, so let's just make sure. So two things in today's session, let's go into your CRM, your phone. Let's make sure two things happen. Number one, you have your vendor service provider group tagged and labeled appropriately. Make sure that we've got the company name. Do they have a website, Adrian, that when we interview them, they can put our interview on their website, linking back to our website, creating backlinks, right? Because we want more of those. Imagine if we're thinking real estate, if we had 20 websites around your community that were all linking back to yours, Google would say, wow, look at that. This real estate agent is clearly a legitimate real estate agent who has a lot of connections inside of that community. That's an authority position that Google would honor. Okay, but that's not really, I want to go back to CRM. Make sure it's tagged and labeled. Make sure that we have their I have, you know, Ronaldo, you know, who I love Ronaldo. He kicks ass. He does an amazing job. He helped me with my house. I bring him in all the time. But you know how I have his contact in my phone? Ronaldo Painter. Really? I need to organize that a little bit better. What's Ronaldo's last name? Does he have a company name? Does he have a website? Does he have a Google My Business? Like, what else do I need to know about Ronaldo for me to actually have a legitimate contact of him? Because I do like recommending him professionally and I want to do a better job supporting him. And then also I want to make sure that I have that conversation with Ronaldo. And since he loves me, since I've given him so much business, this conversation's easy. So today, it's a couple things. Number one, make sure that we're updating our contact information. Make sure, number two, we're labeling it appropriately. Make sure you have a great Rolodex. Number three, would you please find the next person you're going to do an interview with in a Zoom video this week? Who are you going to interview this week? Okay. The one interview that's on my list of things that I really think would be extremely high value is really with a physical inspector is really, I need to find a physical inspector, because one of my good physical inspectors explained the 5 categories of what they do. And when he put it into the 5 category context of how they look at a home, it was super valuable for me. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that's really amazing. Like, I never thought about it that way. And these are the 5 things that when I'm walking through a house as a buyer's agent, like, these are the 5 things I should be paying attention to. And then these are the 5 things that I get to talk about. And then when I'm doing that, buyers are like, wow, Patrick really knows his stuff. So if I interviewed 2 or 3 physical inspectors and got really good information out of that, and then shared that off into the community, that's good for me, it's good for them, it's good for our buyers. Okay, so let's look for a few of those opportunities this week of who you can interview. So this next session, if you're going to call some of your past clients and your sphere, you can use that question, hey, and you can use that question in a variety of different ways. I've never asked, is there a charity that you support? I've never asked, is there a small business right now that is doing some great stuff in your community with the COVID environment that I could support, maybe interview, right? Is there someone who's doing something extraordinary in the community? Is there a service provider that I should know about, add to my list to support? Okay, so we've got, in this session, we've got a lot of different options for you to be able to really make this productive. Let's get after it. Any questions, concerns, comments? Okay, and I want to make sure all of us, we set a goal for total number of sales from this category annually. And then every year, we're going to make it a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Okay, cool. Let's have some fun.